G'day, how's it going? What do you know, Striker Like Clayton here. Just spoke with Dean Holmes. Really good advisor. He's got a practice that's quite successful. Also spun off into its own dealer group now with Ben Nash at Pivot Wealth. You got Jess and Glenn at Fox and Hare, Catherine Gross, bunch of high performers. It doesn't surprise me though. It's XY pretty much kicked off from a conversations that Dean was having, with Ben. Many years ago, and Ben was sort of telling me that there was all these things you could do besides super investment insurance in the advice world, and it blew my mind. And then ever since then, we've been on this quest for knowledge. We tackle some pretty cool topics, everything from why females tend to make better advisors, all the way up to the best interest duty, and I sort of hamper on that again. It's a sticking point. It's an impossible position, the best interest duty, to live up to. And I mean, any lawyer these days, if you listen to these guys that specialize in this field, they're going to say it's impossible. No one can live up to it. So I think we've got some major issues there to hopefully overcome, and so that comes out in conversation. And Dean's just an all-round great guy. He's got some really good insights, and hopefully you pull some things out from this conversation and start using it in your own advice world. All right, cheers. Hopefully you enjoy. This episode is proudly sponsored by Netwealth. Launching nearly 20 years ago, this ASX-listed company is ranked number one for overall platform functionality and user satisfaction by Investment Trends for the past 3 years. As the financial advice landscape changes, it's important now more than ever to embrace new technology and enhance the way you do business. With this change comes your chance to innovate, explore new perspectives, and realize new efficiencies. Netwealth is here to support you on this journey by providing you market-leading technology, excellent customer support, and expertise to help you innovate in your business. Visit the Netwealth website to learn more and get the PDS, which clients should read before making a decision. Products issued by Netwealth Investments Limited. For those XYers that have been around for a fair few years, I think your claim to fame was running the business from the UK.
Yeah, and I did one of your first sort of, the day down at the water, and not only did I run my business from the London, then I participated in in the XY conference remotely with my business shirt at the top and shorts at the bottom.
Yes.
At 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Literally, that was one of the highlights. Yeah, that was really cool. And for anyone that's listening that wasn't there that day, this is back in 2000 and...
At least 3 to 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, 15, something like that.
I've been back for 2 years, so...
Yeah, and so we had a full-day event down at Dalton House, and you gave one of the sessions via Zoom.
Yeah.
That was mad. Well, all the way from the UK, which was super cool. And then... Ben and I like to talk about you as the father of XY, or the granddaddy of XY, because you were the first one to sort of sprinkle the little bit of financial planner dust into his head. And we were just, 5 years ago, we didn't know anything. And then, a lot of it sprung up from there. And then you've got a connection with Roxy as well, who's one of the kick-ass guys here in the community. And then... you yourself have a really cool career, and you're only a couple of years older than me, but you've got your own financial planning business, and you've got your own license now with other financial planning businesses, and those businesses are kicking ass, I will say. So I don't know if you choose really well or if you've got some sort of coaching going on, whatever you're doing there. It's amazing.
It's always the people. You got to choose. You got to choose the right people. The other podcast that I was on a few months ago, that was all about people hiring, firing, and things like that.
Yes.
A big part of what we do is about people within our organisation or people that join us in the licensee.
Yeah.
It's knowing that you've got the right people up front. Because that's alignment of vision, alignment of values.
Yep.
Those things drive everyone's decision-making framework. And so if you make the right decisions in the front end about who comes in to your world, you know that you can trust them on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, but the good people are so hard to find.
Oh, exactly.
So hard to find.
But you've got to talk. You've got to talk to a lot of people. You've got to. So you do have to have meetings, have conversations. But the whole network that we've built so far is actually just from referrals as well. So
and it is called the Wealth Network, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah.
And one of the interesting things about the Wealth Network, and I'm not sure if it's still the case, but there was either a 50-50 male to female or even more than 50-50 male to female.
Yeah, right now we're probably slightly above 50% of total, if we include the staff of Absolute Wealth Advisors as well.
Yep.
But yeah, look, I've got a big focus on helping great females become advisors as well. I think the balance should be 50-50 or more.
Yeah, man.
Women are better financial advisors than blokes.
Yeah.
They get the relationship side.
Yeah.
They have emotional intelligence much more than what we do.
Yep.
And so they're able to pick up on the subtleties of the relationship, I reckon, ahead of guys most of the time. And our industry is less about investments and more about relationships. And the sooner that we realize that, so that we can practice the things that we're meant to practice about relationships, and also at the same time start to get investments out of our business, because it's not the core focus of lots of financial planning or financial advice firms going forward.
And some of the businesses like Pivot Wealth, that's Ben Nash, he's just won an award. Fox and Hare, they've done remarkably well. Jess Brady being a part of that team, so you were able to score them. And there's a couple others, right?
Yeah, we've got the first lady that joined, Catherine Gross. She was she was the first one that sort of got the whole thing started.
Yeah.
So Catherine,
she's got a fabulous business.
She's got a great business, and her business model was all about coaching and coaching females, executives, and coaching she's sort of pivoted a little bit now that she works with divorcees as well to coach them and sort of help predominantly females through that process, because unfortunately that it's a single-sided male-dominated kind of decision-making that might have been in the past, and so Catherine's helping women to move out of that and obviously empower them to make their own financial decisions. She came to us through our network as well, through my business partner Paul, and Catherine is the as you say, the dust of the XY. Catherine's what got it all started. So we had never thought about really being a licensee in that using that traditional word. We hadn't really thought about it until Catherine came along, and what Catherine wanted was actually more of the coaching, mentoring, teaching side of learning to become a financial advisor ahead of everything else. So lots of licensees out there will tick a box in terms of compliance, but the mentoring side of it, of actually, I've got this problem or I've got this client scenario, it's really difficult to have zero or little financial planning experience and start your own practice at the same time. And so we've been able to sort of bring those two things together. Catherine and Fox and Hare are examples of that, where you've got great people, great finance experience. So everyone that we have has already been in the industry for years, but now they decide they want to use their powers for good instead of evil, and actually and actually run and look after clients as opposed to being within the institutions.
Yeah, I like the way you've put that. It's hilarious. As someone that's done the reverse of that, I just come to the dark side. That's what I say. So because you've got a very good insight into, because on top of all that, you got a pretty successful financial planning business yourself, right?
Yeah. We had our 10-year anniversary of starting the business.
Congratulations!
Thank you. We knew that we were going to get to 10 years probably after we got past 5, or maybe even after 1. We had a vision to grow the business from day one, that we needed the business to be more than just a paycheck or a salary. And to do that, you've got to grow it, staff it, put systems and processes in, which we're still doing today. As you grow through each stage of the business, you realize that you've grown and you've filled the bucket of staff, but also then you've filled the bucket of being able to know everything that's going on in the business. Then you've got to build a dashboard that tells you what's going on in the business because you can't know everything.
Yes.
So we've done all that over time, and we're doing it again. So we're getting ready to grow through the next phase as well.
You're looking to take it to the next level?
Yeah, look, Absolute Wealth Advisors as the business will be bigger in 5 years' time than it is today.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
My focus is more on the wealth network, and Paul and Stella are focused in on Absolute Wealth Advisors. So we're automating, getting the staff right, using our technology and all those kind of things better, so that we can obviously service our clients in a better way, in a new way, and then therefore Stella and Paul have more time to sit in front of clients.
Interesting. Well. And so you and Paul, where did you guys meet? And who does what role?
Well, Paul hired me. So
get out of town.
Yeah. So the circle of life is Roxy hired me first.
Yes.
So Roxy saw the light when I was getting out of corporate. But when Announcer was getting started, and this was like 13 years ago now, the Announcer model was slightly different to what it is today, and we were doing a little bit of prospecting using the phone, which is where Roxy went back. If you go back, sorry Roxy, 20 years, that's how you were getting clients and those kind of things. And look, broadly, it was really effective. We had some competition entry forms, and there was some cold calling, or warm calling, depending on what ASIC wants to call it. But essentially, they were chatting to people about improving their financial position, and then getting them in to come in for a meeting, and then having a chat. I don't know what I'll say, but I was not very good at cold calling. It was just, I just couldn't interrupt people's days with talking about financial services. So it was pretty tough. And there was no salary. So he sold me the dream of, a huge, I'll be an advisor in 2 years' time, doing all these things. All I had to do was make 40 phone calls a day, which meant I booked X number of meetings, and then I had a client a day. Yeah. So the dream didn't work for me, but it worked for lots of other guys. Yes. So the model works, and look, the model's a little bit different now, but I think he's using other social media channels to do a similar thing of getting attention and getting the message out there.
Yeah, correct.
So Roxy's doing a great job. I obviously couldn't cut it, so he dropped me from the team, or I dropped myself when I ran out of money.
Right.
So that was the first forte into being. You were essentially self-employed. If you made it, you made it. If you didn't, you were eating toast and Weet-Bix. So I was in the toast and Weet-Bix category, and decided I'd go and get a job.
Right.
And so that's when Paul hired me into the firm that he was working. Well, we both worked at for 4 years.
Right.
And so I was his sort of associate advisor.
No way. That's so funny. That's how me and Ben almost. Oh, actually, no, he didn't hire me, but I worked as his sort of. What do you call it? It's
just paper shuffler.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. Yeah. He speaks more highly of you, Clayton.
Thank you.
So then I started working with Paul. We worked for 2 years at another boutique planning business, and then I was getting ready to leave again, and so I wasn't happy with the direction of the firm and things like that. And so Paul grabbed me at the same time and said, I know you're thinking of leaving, I can tell. And so we made the decision that we'd actually think about leaving together. So that we took two paths at that time. Could we find an existing business that wanted to hire us as like Batman and Robin, like sort of style? The skill sets in terms of the business is probably what is worthwhile to focus on in terms of, if you've come out of corporate, as simple as GST might be to some people, it has never been a concept to understand at a business level. You used to be an accountant.
Yeah, and I still hate it.
Divide by 11 times by 10. I don't get it. Then you involve super funds and they claim back the GST and all that kind of stuff. It's complicated. Yeah. And so, but when you dive into the business owner world, you now have to do all of these things. You have to know what you should charge. Yeah. You have to know how to charge it. You need to have a relationship with a bookkeeper that has to understand financial planning businesses and do it. So there's all of those different elements that we try to take from the advisors and we try to do the work internally, or we pay a bookkeeper to do it, but we
Yes.
have the same bookkeeper that works across all of our businesses.
Right.
So that we get that sort of economies of scale that she knows and understands financial planning businesses, so she can do all of them much easier than us having seven bookkeepers.
Interesting.
But if we take it up, that's just like a micro example of what
Yes.
we do. But at the business level, we run a business coaching program.
Do you? Tell me about this.
Which is Traction or EOS, which we'll put in the show notes.
So you go to these guys for help on how to become better at what you do.
Yeah. So we are coached by a coach that
Right.
that is.
I thought you were saying you had a business coaching business, but you are coached by business coach.
We are coached by a business coach, and then we distill that down, and I'm the coach for say Ben or Fox and Hare in the businesses. I run those.
Do you want a
meetings.
business coach XY?
Well, I think Roger's got that job.
Yeah, because we've met with him. He seems like a really cool guy, but
he's awesome. I cannot say how amazing it's been.
Yeah,
I can actually. I'm about to, and we'll cut this little bit for Roger.
Yeah,
it's been amazing.
Yeah,
the fact that we have been able to focus on the business, to be able to set vision and values, and everyone does this, but we've done it now in a really simple way for a small business. So, if you're Commonwealth Bank, this vision and values thing takes hundreds of people and thousands of dollars to come up with their tagline, which I cannot remember. So, and they're obviously not living their vision and values when they make their decisions. So, and that's a corporate. When you bring it down to a small business, we are the business. And so the tools that we've been able to use has allowed us to set what we want the vision of the business to be, has allowed us to sort of document our values. We live and breathe them, so it's always in everything that we do. But now we've actually got them written on a piece of paper, for example, and then we've been able to set through the program. We've got a 10-year vision for the business that distills down to a three-year vision, and then a 1 year and 90-day rocks. So there's lots of business books that all come around this same bit. There's a Rockefeller Habits, Vern Harnish has all done this type of research in terms of 90-day sprints. There's so many buzzwords that mean all the same thing.
Yes.
But by having a tool and following a process, we've been able to focus for 90 days on particular business tasks achieve them. And at the end of the 90 days, set the next business tasks, achieve them. At the end of the next 90 days, achieve them. Yeah. So it's just been a discipline, and that discipline distills from those quarterlies down into a weekly meeting pulse and activities that it just works for us.
Yeah.
And anyone that's coming out of corporate, it kind of works for them as well, because they've just got a process to follow. So now I've got good people, and they're able to follow a process that has some elements that's similar to the corporate life.
Wow. That's a very good answer. I was expecting you to say something like just get on Sunrise.
We can't. Koshi's only has so many friends. So,
yeah. That's so funny. Like Ben became mates with Koshi and everything because of this whole XY thing. Because many years ago, talk about visions and everything, we were like, oh, it'd be awesome to get Koshi to speak at an event. And Ben, just being Ben, he's like, g'day, mate. Just wanted you to come talk at an event. And he was like, what is this? And Ben just says, oh, look, we're this thing. And then he speaks at an event, and then he goes on to become, Koshi's like online financial planner guy. And now he's just getting roped in to do Sunday morning sessions. Yep. Mate, it's great.
That's it. So he'll have a beard consultant soon, and they'll be trimming it properly for TV and all those kind of things. But look, Ben has built a great social media PR engine behind his business, which is allowing him to now grow his practice. And so it's external validation in, we have an issue of trust in the industry, which we'll probably come back to, but being able to find out about Ben, if I'm thinking about Ben being my advisor, for example, at least now I can go and see that he's out there in the marketplace doing different things. And that's how his demographic make decisions on when they like to buy. Like,
Yes.
you don't buy anything without reading the reviews. You don't even go to a cafe on Saturday morning without checking the coffee brand online before we arrive and reading the Google reviews.
Yeah, man.
So
I love a good
his version.
TripAdvisor. If I'm somewhere,
not TripAdvisor.
I like TripAdvisor.
No, it doesn't work because it's not linked back to your personal profile. So there's been, I think TripAdvisor, some of the reviews may have been made up in the past. Maybe they're fixing it out now.
Sure.
But I prefer the ones that are linked to your person, because if I, like, funny story, Anshika and I have used Google to, when we were traveling, we would tag locations that we've been and review restaurants and cafes all around the world when we were traveling. And very, very recently, our photos hit 1 million views. So it's crazy. It's kind of crazy. So the photos that we've uploaded onto our Google account have been viewed 1 million times. Now, some of the photos are pretty average of what they're in. Yeah. Some of the photos of me with my chicken schnitzel, like saying this is a really big chicken schnitzel, for example, but. And that one hasn't got a lot of views, mind you. But
the ones in you and your boardies, for example.
Yeah, huge. So it's like a million people, 2 million eyeballs, right, have looked at images that we've put up in order to increase the trust or the buy-in of that particular venue. Or we've ranked it 1 star and people have made decisions the other way.
Yeah.
But there's an element of community trust that we and then another 100 people have all given it 5 stars, and so then we give it 5 stars. And
so you do Google reviews?
Yeah, that's Google reviews through Google Maps. So...
Yeah, okay. No.
So I'm sure if I looked up XY Advisor on Google, there would be some reviews.
If there's not, make sure you give it a 5 star.
If everyone can do Google 5-star reviews for the XY Advisor group, that would be great.
That actually would be very epic.
And upload your photos so then you can see how many you can get.
Just imagine all these schnitzels just...
Yeah, look, if you see my photos online, you'll see a few meal-related photos, but that's because I'm reviewing restaurants and places to go as you go around, Eastern
that's
Europe.
Cool, man. I've never heard of someone doing that before. That's really cool.
So,
because I've done it a couple of times in my life, maybe like 3 or 4 venues. But I actually don't even consider that someone's ever looked at it.
Yeah, well, I'm up to 1 million, so I'll let you know when you get to 2 million. I think it probably accelerates. We might be on the top list.
Do you get something?
Well, you used to get Google contributor credits. Like, you used to get extra 10 gig on your Google Drive or something like that. But data's free now. Like, everything, you can hand that stuff out like cookies. It doesn't count because we all have so much data now. But yeah. So I don't know why we got onto that, but that was about Nashi,
and trust.
That's his element of trust, that people can externally validate his services.
Yeah.
If I think about my practice, the vast majority of the clients that we have been referred by someone that's a friend or family or associate. So the trust is actually one-on-one. Whereas when you're going out, like Ben would go out to a group of people and do a talk, or go out through social media, through Instagram, for example, people will find him through there, but then use the other tools to determine the trust.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as a whole, our industry has suffered in trust for the last, for the last few years, and now it's sort of hit its time.
This is our rock bottom.
Yeah.
This is, waking up drunk
the
next morning going, what the hell did I do the
Definitely.
night before? We're in the worst. We would be in we're at the bottom of the cycle of trust. There's probably a little bit more to come out when the Royal Commission has to finish.
Yeah.
And then there's an element of rebuilding that trust, and there'll be the large corporates are making changes in their business model, some quickly on the run to try to get ahead of what's coming in terms of the Royal Commission.
Yeah.
Others are selling. It's going to have an impact on how financial planning businesses might be valued in the future.
Absolutely.
Not that I don't think that doesn't mean that they'll necessarily go down in value, but I think AMP underwrote a value by coming up with a particular formula of recurring revenue. That might change to just the the normal EBIT multiple. Like every other business in the world essentially trades on an EBIT multiple.
Yes.
And so somewhere along the way, we changed that and said, well, no, we're a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I get the history of why it happens. But now it's probably in the future, the transactions will still happen,
Yes.
but they'll just be on an EBIT multiple. And so what that tells me is that businesses that focus on that EBIT EBIT calculation, they're building.
You are the business guy.
Yeah, I'm the business guy. There'll be a little asterisk in what EBIT stands for. But essentially, you're building a business when you focus on that, as opposed to the smaller practices always traded on recurring revenue because the advisor was just, maybe they had 200 grand of fees and that really was just their salary.
Yeah, man.
There's no EBIT in that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you think about you trying to build an EBIT-focused business, you're trying to build a business that makes profit, which then is a saleable business, okay? And then a business is systems, processes, accounting processes, annual review processes, all of those things. That's a business, whereas the old model of a one-man band advisor being just just doing everything himself, that was never a business.
What would you like to see come out of the Royal Commission?
Sometimes I wanted there to be, a debate and hearing both sides. I think that the stuff that came out is all of it is true, but there's never an opportunity to tell any of the good stories as well. Like we always, the advisors that are on the front line are working our asses off to actually do the right thing by the client
100%.
in 99% of the cases.
Yes.
And the corporates have changed the incentives. We're going to go back now and realize that a vertically integrated Commonwealth Bank model just didn't work for the consumers. And the banks are already working this out because of their capital requirements. Home loans are supremely more profitable than any other part of their business.
Yeah.
And so they bought all those other businesses because they could cross-sell to one another. Now they're starting to realize that the cross-selling to one another was the problem.
The downfall.
And so by not having all of those businesses, the banks will be probably profitable in the future.
Yes.
Not that that's advice.
Yes.
But they'll focus on their core, which is giving home loans, which is good.
Yeah, man.
And then there'll be advisors that probably less and less advisors will be associated with financial institutions. And that's going to hurt the older generation because there is still the trust in banks at that older age bracket that they still trust in the brands. That I could look after a little old lady, or she'll go into the Commonwealth Bank branch and unfortunately she'll trust that institution because it's been around for much, much longer than what I've been around. Whereas the younger generation will easily trust new brands coming into the market, much, much easier because they'll just use this social validation to make sure that what they're doing is the right thing.
Yes.
So it's a shame, but I understand why the positive stories can't come out. And so really we just got to clean up the mess, and it's the institutions that have to clean it up. Like we don't have to do a lot of cleaning up.
Yeah, that's a very big point as well.
It's going to cost them a lot of money to do it.
Yeah,
and they're cleaning it up. They're cleaning up the past, even though they're not continuing the business in the future. So I wonder how focused they'll be on it if they don't have to. They're not trying to clean up so that they can be financial advisors again. They're sort of putting the lipstick on the pig to sell it.
Yeah,
or they've already sold it anyway.
It's a weird thing, that cross-selling issue that you were talking about. When you've got trustees that would, perfect example, just using the in-house cash account, whereas there was other cash accounts available to the public, which the super fund could have used, but they chose to use the in-house bank, which paid a much lower interest rate. And then that is something that's so clearly not in the client's best interest that it was like absurd that anyone thought that you can get away with that. Like that is if I'm a trustee of a super fund, and then I'm getting 1% in my money here and I'm just using it because it's in-house, and then but there's 2.5% over there, and then just being like, nah, we'll just use the 1%. We'll just do it over there.
But
that's such a...
But this is everything. It's like, if you think about any board of directors, which is similar to a trustee relationship, like, there's just so much to do.
Oh, man, I know.
Like, a board of directors are going to go, there's a list of 20 priorities, and they've got to work out which is the most important priority.
There is definitely that as well. Like, a part of me goes... Well, who was expecting them to use something else, right? Like, of course, that the bank is going to the super fund is going to use the bank. Like, of course. So I kind of go, well, then is it too onerous, the legislation? I don't know, but I know for a fact that it's a clear breach of that legislation, and then I'm really interested. Because I'm not convinced that more rules is the solution. I'm just not convinced that more rules are the solution. But, simple and less rules would be good. If there's no commissions on investments, right, that solves a lot of problems. If we get rid of APLs, that solves a lot of problems. I'm actually less worried about alignment with no APL than I am about many other things, because I mean, back in the day, independent financial advice just meant I use the ones that pay me the most commission. So
I'm independent of a thing. Yes. But the thing about APLs as the example is, like, who invented APL?
That's
the
weird.
Professional indemnity insurance industry invented the APL because that's what they had to do to
minimize their risk,
control the risk.
Right.
So they came up with the term APL, and they said to the AFSLs, well, you've got to have this APL that your advisors are going to recommend of. And then it just flows from there. It's like an insurance company excluding flood cover in a flood zone. Like, the insurance companies set up their rules, and then we've played with it, and then...
Yes, because they wouldn't have gone to one of the aligned models and said, only put your own products on the APLs.
No, they're indifferent, right? They don't care.
Well, why don't we just have an ASIC approved APL?
Well, we do. We do. That's the ASIC regulated managed fund industry. But ASIC,
isn't that all of them?
That's all the managed funds. So every managed fund is approved by ASIC, right? So ASIC, in order to do that, you've already gone through the hoops to set up a regulated managed investment scheme.
So why have APLs?
I don't know.
My God.
You can have in an advice business. So do I have an APL?
That's fine, because you're an advice business.
Thank you. Like, in terms of if ASIC were listening, yes, I have an APL. My professional indemnity insurer knows my APL. But then I have this thing called a preferred product list. And Roxy said to me 12 years ago, that's still in my head today, Roxy was like, we will manage the investments up here because I don't want you to blow up your business.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, that's pretty smart, Roxy. So the concept of a preferred product list is all about saying, as the Wealth Network, we want to agree the selection of the investment products that our advisors use, not to restrict them, but actually to make sure that the client's best interests are looked after, and that the advisor doesn't go and do things that have the chance of impacting their business and therefore our business at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, so we call that a preferred product list. But our preferred product list is quite small and quite simple.
Yeah. And it's basically just Vanguard, right?
Thank you, Vanguard. Vanguard is part of our preferred product list, and they're our sponsors for today. No, but yeah, the concept of indexing is a core part of our investment philosophy. It's something that resonates with younger clients as well. They know, you can explain it with 1,000 different examples, but the fact that you see Warren Buffett talking about indexing and people know and trust his advice, and he's saying, if he could do this. Yeah. There's an old story about Kerry Packer's old man, and if Kerry Packer took all of the money that his father left to him in the estate and just put it in the index, Jamie Packer would be like twice as rich now.
Yeah, but nowhere near as much fun.
No, not as much fun of building casinos and doing all those kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it forms a core part of our business because it works. The next thing that Vanguard has recently added to their portfolio is an ethical tilt, which is definitely starting to be requested by our clients and Fox and Hare.
Yeah,
is probably the two places that it's coming up at the moment. Is that obviously, like the upselling of would you like fries with that? If you offer it, people will think about it, and we're having more people at that point in time saying that I am interested in having my portfolio invested that way, and the research is starting to support that companies that think in this manner also perform better. So I was the old school a while ago of saying that, I always had two arguments with it. I was always like, well, if you're going to own a mining company, then wouldn't it be better to own BHP? Because at least they were the most committed to they had the most social conscious because they were the biggest company and they were going to do the best thing possible whilst digging stuff out of the ground, as opposed to a startup miner may cut costs because they don't have the scale and revenue and research. And so I was sort of saying, well, I prefer to if I want to be in the market, I'm going to be in the index and I'm going to own those companies. And so I still have that belief. And investing ethically is very hard because Woolworths...
Everyone has a different version of
we have a different definition. Woolworths is really hard as a company to talk through because it owns poker machines. And so you can say, well, I hate that, but also they're helping the farmers at the same time. And so... or they're ripping off the farmers, depending which department you look at. But it's... every time you hold the lens against a particular company, you've got to have a set of rules, which is why...
Yeah, it's difficult, man.
It's difficult, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's just like recycling. If you recycle 80% of the stuff you meant to do, that's better than going, recycling is too hard, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, because, okay, like how far do you push the ethics? Because if you're not comfortable investing in a mining company, are you comfortable using electricity?
Well, that's the whole thing. It's because you've got to just do something. If you believe it, you've got to do something.
Yes.
Because the fact that a client will come to you and say, I don't want to invest in that company, and they pull out their iPhone that has 700 grams of whatever lithium stuff in there.
Yada.
We don't even know what damage that does to the environment.
Absolutely.
And then they throw it out 2 years later in the tip, and it leaks into the waterways, and then they get a new iPhone.
Yeah.
Everyone does that without thinking, but at least we've taken a step forward.
Okay, no, look, fair enough. Yeah. And it is hard, and I'm in two minds about ethical investments. I mean, like everyone alive, yes, it'd be lovely to have nice things happen. And if we can invest nicely, that's a good thing. Like, obviously, like at a very blanket high level, I'm a fan of it. It's hard to not be, right? Who wants less nice things?
It's like anything. It's like, would you like the environment to be better?
Yeah, correct.
If you phrase the question that way, the answer has to be yes.
It has to be yes.
Would you like to recycle? Yes, I would like to. Do you is a different question.
Yes.
But yeah, we all want this to, I'm starting to see in the evidence of the benefit of it, as well as the investment managers are starting to now provide the solutions at the same level. Like there was the whole, and I have a philosophy around index funds, and now at least I can put a guns and nuclear screen over the top of the index fund, for example. So I know that it's not the best, but at least I know there's no tobacco, no guns in that particular part of the portfolio.
Nuclear as in nuclear power, or nuclear as in nuclear warheads?
I believe it's as power in the concept.
Yeah, right.
That's like the US ethical fund, just the very simple Vanguard one just cuts out those 3 or 4 things.
Nuclear power, right.
Yeah, so and it's there's the whole thing of guns and tobacco, because they don't add any like economic positivity to the world. Like you can in terms of BHP, they're digging stuff out of the ground, which is helping build a building. So
sure.
It's kind of we need buildings.
Yeah, and so, electricity, coal.
Yeah, we don't need guns. So if you want to cut that out of the portfolio, it's sort of like the production of more guns doesn't lead to life being better in the future. But we'll probably stop there, otherwise we'll end up in the US.
yeah. It's such a tricky subject, isn't it? And I mean, it's going to be interesting. I've followed it pretty closely. It's doubled in inflows in the last couple of years. But doubling means it's gone from less than
1% to 1.5%.
Yeah, correct. So it's like. We're in early days, but absolutely, I can definitely see that happening. So out of the Royal Commission, I would like to see the decoupling from product and advice at a legislative level. I'd love to see that happen. I'd love Rowena to just say, wait a second, here it says that product and advice is the exact same thing. Let's decouple it from whatever it was, the Corps Act, or I don't even know what act it's in. That's written in, but it's a very weird and peculiar premise for advice to live in, and because if I look at the parties of the Royal Commission that's going on, I see it as advisors, regulatory bodies, and products, and so like three different aspects. And it's going to be interesting to see where the blame lies at the end of all this. Is it the products? Is it the advisors, or is it were the rules always there, but the regulatory bodies never enforce it? So I'm very interested to see where the blame lies.
I always have the reason why we need lots of regulation is because we're talking about people's financial lives. So it's really important. I always have this off-the-cuff example, but it's not as important as finance. But it's like when you go in to buy a Mercedes-Benz at the dealership, right? And you speak to the guy and he tells you all the features and benefits of the Mercedes-Benz. He doesn't then say, please now, you don't need to go do this, but I've already been down to BMW and I understand the features and benefits of the BMW.
Yeah.
And here's a chart that contrasts the benefits and features and costs of you buying a BMW and a Mercedes-Benz.
Absolutely.
It's a trivial example, but the consumer, I believe rationally, should know that when they walk into a Mercedes-Benz dealership, they're buying a Mercedes-Benz, right?
Yeah.
And the Mercedes-Benz dealer doesn't have to disclose that he's shipped twice the amount of Benzes this month, so he's going to get a huge bonus from head office. Now, so there's always conflicts in every industry.
Absolutely.
And they're not going to, they don't go away.
Yes.
Uber charges a percentage of revenue as a fee model.
Correct.
Every subscription service that we pay is we're paying percentages of revenue on everything. So the concept of the product manufacturer having to further say that they're the product manufacturer, we can have the advisors over here, but then they can't be employed by those manufacturers. Or if they are, it's the old school agency model, which probably not all of the listeners know, but the old AMP lifeys were employed by AMP and they were only selling AMP.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, if you could make the client aware, there is no conflict.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, I work for AMP, I'm employed by AMP to recommend this AMP product.
Yeah.
If you don't want the AMP product,
you
have to go down the road to someone else. There's still a need. People will still buy from a product provider with or without an advisor. Yeah,
100%. And I think that the pressure should be on the product providers to create good products, right?
Yeah.
And then there should not be this massive pressure for an advisor, in my opinion, even something like the best interest duty, right? So, okay, here's another trivial example, but I've just thought of this off the top of my head. Now, let's say I'm recently married, so my wife goes and gets a haircut, right? Let's say she walks in and she gets a haircut. And because women like to spend a lot of money on their hair,
well, they have more.
They have more of it, yeah. And but let's say she walks in and then about to hand over the money or about to book in a session, and the the hairdresser would say something like, "Is this haircut in your best interest? Should you perhaps go and pay that money off your credit card?" Like it's such a no other industry has the burden of being the best and like emphasis on the best thing that can happen. I think under that regulatory environment where you are ensuring the best thing happens, it's an absurd requirement because it's implicit, right? Like if you're an advisor and you want to have clients, you've got to do a really good job, right?
Yeah.
So that's implicit. But if you're asked to provide the best, I'm just so caught up on this word best because it's so easy to prove that one of the things wasn't the best thing ever.
And the reason why we have had legislation to make us do it is because we didn't do it ourselves.
But if we got rid of commissions, which we have, that really gets rid of a lot of the reasons why the best interest duty was come in. So FOFA sort of can't.
But it's not. But commissions are still there.
On insurance,
Go and not even that. Go and read Batesy's LinkedIn posts about the property developers that are still emailing him with the 8.5%.
Yeah, no, I have seen that.
That's all the rental guarantees, all the
get rid of that. I've got no problems with getting rid of that.
But how like that? You got to get rid of that.
Absolutely.
In order to remove.
I've got no problem with that.
But we need to professionalize our industry and have our own body. That's like the bar. If we were as professional as an accountant in the context that they have professional bodies who properly hire and fire advisors, and if we or the legal profession who has the bar, which means you have to apply and it's prestigious to be part of the bar, and if you let down your fellow lawyers on the bar, you're out. And so we don't police ourselves to that high standard. And if ASIC removed the best interest and said, okay, guys, now you've got to do it, but you've got to do it better than the two other professionals that are talking to clients, then all of this would go away. But then we've actually got to stick to our guns and fire the advisors that are not doing the right thing.
I think let's definitely get rid of commissions on properties. I like that concept. How come that hasn't been done yet? Rowena, if you're listening, get rid of commissions in investment properties. That's crazy. That still exists.
See, they'll pay commissions. It's like, but commissions exist in everything. Do you know if I, the Hey You app where you order coffee, right? So if I refer you to the app, I get a free coffee. That's a commission.
Do you want to do it now?
Well, I'll do it afterwards if you haven't signed up.
No, but it's not a financial product. It's not an investment. So I've got no problems with commissions, but commissions on investments should absolutely be gone, and they're already gone from financial products. They should absolutely be gone from property as well.
Yeah, they should be gone from property. They're
absolutely. Hands down.
Yeah. They're gone.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Done.
Delete them. Because it's always about incentives. And so if you can, it's crazy that even though there are commissions, then if Batesy was not a financial advisor and he was a mortgage broker, for example, which he is, but if he was just that, or if he was an accountant, there's no obligation even to disclose.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Those commissions.
It's absolutely
just
insane.
like I don't have to disclose the free coffee that I get when I recommend that you get the coffee app, but these things are much different.
Now
it's
that
a $3 coffee.
Now that you have disclosed it, can we go halves in it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll share the commission. But yeah, so that it's always there's this concept of incentives, and so economists have been looking at this for years about anything that has especially financial incentive, that it changes the way in which people ACT.
Yes.
You know, the classic, and it roots from when we were kids. And they do these studies with kids now about, they give a kid a donut or a sweet, and then they say, if you can not eat it, and we'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll give you 2. So you can double your donuts if you're willing to wait.
That's a good deal.
It's a good deal if you can wait, right?
Yeah.
As a kid, no one waits, you know, and so it's just a random example of the fact whenever there's incentives that change the way in which you would think about the answer, that's then where problems occur. So these
is why I think it's
advisors that are out there that may be recommending clients set up self-managed super funds and then gear and buy a residential property off the plan. Just hypothetically, I'm not sure if any advisors actually do that.
Yeah.
But if they do, like, that's full of various incentives and cross referrals and all sorts of things.
Absolutely. So I'm such a massive fan of getting rid of the commissions on investment products that we've done so far. I can't wait now. I've got a new passion. I'd love to see it removed from the property industry as well. So it's completely eradicated entirely from our industry. And once that happens, we don't need these crazy overburden, like best interest duty. You can get rid of best interest duty if there's no commissions, in my opinion. But I'm happy for someone to argue against that. But I am convinced that if someone isn't incentivized, to use your point, then they're going to work in the best interest.
It's
very, because there's no incentive not to.
I get it, but there's also, like, if you want your client, the terms of building a great advice practice means that also that you're able to advise and run your clients in an efficient manner, right? So there's another argument to look at to go, well, if I've got 100 clients and they each have 100 different superannuation funds because they're all out there, and the 100 are all industry super funds, but they're all doing all similar. So in order for me to review and understand and being able to talk to the client in depth about what their fund is doing, I now have to know 100.
Yeah.
Or the best interest for the client and for me is that if we could all be on a couple of investment strategies that we both know and understand, and both are, you know, they're both index related, so they're both in the best interests. My business efficiency means that I don't have to call 100 super funds to find it out. So There'll always be that thing about going, well, super fund A and super fund B, they're all pretty similar, but I like to work with super fund A because I know the BDM, I know the owners, I've been using this company for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefit in you coming across to this product.
Absolutely.
And the one you've got is still the same.
Yes.
And so there's a best interest that still has to come both ways in going, but you've got to just explain that to the client. And the vast majority of clients will say yes.
Yeah.
You know, if you do the calculations, you show the work, they'll make that decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, the Royal Commission has been a very interesting journey. That's like, you watch it. Rowena's pretty awesome in terms of her skill set in questioning, and obviously the research team behind her has been reading a lot of documents to find, you know, the needle in the haystack of the particular cases that are brought forward. But there's probably
it's so interesting.
Others.
It's so interesting the stuff that gets brought out, and like that example I used earlier about the trustees of the super funds getting in trouble because they use the in-house bank account.
Yeah,
I was like, I've never thought of that one, but as soon as it's mentioned, I was like, oh,
everyone's doing it. Yeah, and look, the general and the insurance stuff that's coming out at the moment is atrocious in terms of the sales tactic in relation to selling the insurance products.
Yeah.
And it's all of that thing about, just like the insurance company that sells the person home insurance in a flood zone where they know the policy has flood excluded, but yes, it's in the PDS, which is 100 pages. Like, that was never in the client's best interest, but the corporate doesn't have the same obligations.
Yeah, because that was I won't mention what company just got busted for that in the press recently, but with the Twitter account on XY, we've been trying to like make it a bit funnier. And so I asked my mate, I sent him an article, and he comes back and he sends me a picture of Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, yeah.
With ABC on the board. It's got
always be closing.
No, always be cold calling.
Oh.
and I put it up there. And
well, Roxy was the first guy to play Glen Ross. In the training, that was like week 1 training video. Here's the leads, guys.
The leads are weak. Yeah. Man, I love that.
So they were real estate agents, not financial planners. But
yes,
it's
everyone. You have to go watch that movie if you haven't watched it already. All right, mate. Well, I believe we've got a weekend to kick off into. So
I've self-plug for me. We'll see how we go on Monday, but I'm running the marathon on Sunday.
Impressive. So, is it a full or half?
No, marathon.
What?
Yeah. So I do. I've run half marathons and marathons in the past, but whenever I do a half marathon and then people say, "Oh, good luck in the marathon," I go, "No. It's only a half." But this time it is the full one. So by the time this is released, I'll either be successful or unsuccessful, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. So as long as it's not too hot, it'll be good.
And if anyone wants to get in contact with you to find out more about what you do, or just to...
No Twitter, no Facebook. I have a website, which is called wealthnetwork.net.au. And our financial planning business, absolutewealthadvisors.com.au.
Yeah.
I'm on LinkedIn as well, so you just type in Dean Holmes.
Yep.
There's only 2 of us. The Dean Holmes, the murderer from the UK. Don't connect with him, or Dean Holmes, the financial advisor in Sydney. So that's another story. I won't tell you that one, but Dean Holmes, the murderer from the UK, if you Google it, it's quite a disturbing / funny story.
I liked how you used the word slash and total pun intended. Well, all right, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, and let's maybe go grab a beer.
Good man. Thank you. Cheers.